One. What's up, college baseball fans? Welcome to another episode of the 11.7 podcast. Just Dimitri and myself here today. Jack's girl flew into town and he had to show her around Charleston. So we gave him the pass. We said, be ready, get locked in, Club Omaha this week, plus episode number 2. And man, we're coming off of a really, really fun weekend of college baseball. A lot of teams took some steps forward that I didn't see coming. And man, there was also some teams that were pretty disappointing that put themselves in a very close pickle coming down the home stretch of the season. Got to get the ship righted there. But anyways, brought to you by Home Field Apparel. Y'all go check out homefieldapparel.com. They probably have your favorite college team, retro looks, a lot of vintage looks too. You go check out homefieldapparel.com. Use our promo code 15% off CWS24. And if they don't have your favorite team, I'm sure they can probably get it. So y'all let us know or let them know. Big launch next week for them. Big, big, big launch in terms of college baseball specific stuff. It's coming. It's coming. Y'all are going to love it. So anyways,
Did you
I think
get
the
the
number
care
one
package
story,
yet?
it is coming today. Today, yeah, today's the 6th. May 6th, I think it's coming. Yep.
Oh shit! I can't wait to see. I can't. You have to. Hey, you have to FaceTime me when you get it all.
I will. We can't reveal anything yet. We got to
No.
wait a week, but I think it's coming today. But anyways, the number one story right now in college baseball, it continues to, in my brain, just take over my brain and try to figure out how this is possible. But Charlie Condon of the University of Georgia, 7 straight games with a homer, 33 homers on the year, tying a BBCOR record that was set last year by Jack Caglione, who happened to play 70 games. So, like, the difference with this record, of course, Brock Wilken last year hits 31. Chris Bryant had the BBCOR record for a long time with 31. And when Cags did it last year, I remember there was like this big race, right? Like, can he get to 31? I want to say he was at like 28 when this regular season ended, and he had the conference tournament, regional, super regionals, and then the College World Series. But now we're looking at Charlie Condon, who ties the record, 33, and he still has, let's see, 7 regular season games left, plus conference tournament, plus the regionals, where Georgia's looking like they're going to host after
So
sweeping
minimum what?
Vanderbilt.
Let's just say 7 plus 2 in Hoover, 9 plus 2 minimum in the regional, 11 game minimum. If he gets 4, dude, he I think the chase to 40 is the most insane one.
Okay, he has 6 regular season games left. I guess they're not playing any more midweeks, but they do have at South Carolina and then against Florida. But yeah, so 6 regular season games. We'll say we're going to give them 3 in
Two,
Hoover.
two
Like, they're
minimum.
not going to 2 minimum, but they're not going to go 0-2.
Okay.
And then they're probably going to host a regional where they're going to be favored to win. So that's guaranteed 3, maybe 4, but let's say 3. And then super regionals guaranteed 2. Like, he's going to hit 40. Like, I think he'll hit 40. And I think this is a record that's going to stand for a very, 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 very long time, because I imagine college baseball is going to not only change the baseball back. Dimitri is frozen here on the YouTube. Y'all go check out our YouTube page. I think 750 subscribers, which is awesome. Like, can't thank you guys enough. We've only been using it for about 4 months now. But back to Condon. I think the NCAA is going to change the baseballs back and probably put in a little bit higher restrictions on the bats. There's something off this year, and like we've seen it come in the last couple years. The home run rates are astronomical, and it's not just Condon, right? Like, you're seeing teams every single day tweet out how Tanner Thatch breaks the UNCW all-time season home run record with 23. It's like these records have stood for a long time, and every team, it feels like every team's having home run records broken this year. Lyle Miller Green over at Austin P has 26, breaks a record. So I think we're at the point where moving on, maybe not next season, but here down the road, there's going to be a change. A lot of home runs in this game, which I love. Personally as a hitter, I'm jealous. I had to play in the dead ball BBCOR era where I think the league leader when I was a freshman in 2014 was something like 14 or 15 home runs. Like nobody hit 20 back then. Kyle Lewis, the Golden Spikes winner, my junior year, he hit 20 and people were going nuts. Like he was a major league hitter, major league caliber hitter at that time, playing in the SoCon in one of the smallest fields in Division I baseball at Mercer, and he hit 20 with an Adidas bat, which were terrible. But my point is, I think we're getting to the point where we might start seeing home runs go down. Like the number of home runs per team will go down. So I don't know. This Charlie Condon record might stand for 1 year, like the Jack Caglione record did, or it could be around for a while. Like we might not ever see anybody break it. But anyways, congrats to him. Congrats to the whole UGA team. A big home weekend sweep over Vanderbilt where they were in control almost the whole time. And I think people are starting to take the Georgia Bulldogs seriously now. And what I'm going to do real fast is let's go ahead and I'm going to share my screen because we're going to take a look. Hold on, Dimitri's FaceTiming me right now. But while I'm FaceTiming, hey, I'm keeping the show rolling, buddy. Where are you at?
My internet is completely fucked.
Well, if you get back, Dimitri said his internet's gone. If he gets back, great. I'm keeping the train rolling here.
All right. You keep it rolling. If you have the solo dole, I come in at the very end for the ninth inning save. That's what we'll do.
All right, fair enough.
All right. Good luck.
See ya. All right. Yeah, Dimitri's internet is completely out. He's over in Italy. Jack is downtown Charleston right now with his girlfriend, but that's okay. I will solo dolo this episode, like Dimitri just said. But anyways, let's get back to the SEC. Man, 3 weeks ago, if UGA fans would have seen the Georgia Bulldogs 13-11, I think they'd be thrilled. RPI at 5. Like these numbers are going to hold a ton of weight when it comes to the committee. The cool thing about the SEC standings is like there are so many teams that are alive and well. Even teams like Ole Miss and LSU who are 9-15 in conference but hold RPIs. Ole Miss at 25, LSU at 34. Like with weekend series wins, they put themselves back in that at-large picture. And then you have teams like Mississippi State and Georgia and South Carolina who are in just prime hosting contention, which I always think is good for the sport. People always say, and man, I get like this sometimes too, but at the end of the day, I will be happy with SEC like big nice stadium hosting because it's an experience for some of these players at the mid-major levels. You take somebody at like Florida A&M, or you take somebody at I don't know Mercer. Let's just say Mercer. That's where I played, and they get an opportunity to go play at Duty Noble Field or Founders Park. It's an experience that like they hold on to forever. Versus if a team like UNCW or let's say UC Santa Barbara earns a chance to host, the obviously it's cool to play in any regional. I never got to do it. I was bummed that I never got to do it. But the environment that some of these big stadiums present in a regional atmosphere, games on TV, and you get Mike Rooney flipping around on squeeze play and showing your game. It's the coolest thing ever. So look, at the end of the day, we're looking at it now. Like Kentucky at number 2 RPI, almost guaranteed to host a regional. Like they're battling for the top 8 national seed right now. And with a weekend series win over Arkansas this past week, man, it almost solidifies them a spot as a top 8 national seed. But then you have like Tennessee, who's ranked number 1 in the nation right now in D1 baseball, and I believe in Baseball America and all of those ranking polls. They're number 8 RPI, but I mean that's an RPI that's going to keep going up as long as they keep winning games. 17-7 in the SEC, 39-9 overall. Like they're almost a lock to host a regional. Arkansas and Texas A&M, they've done enough this year. They're both going to host. So like right now, we're looking at like guaranteed 4 hosts with 3 or 4 possible other ones. Mississippi State, like who would have thought this team would be 14-10 in the SEC after the first week of the season? Like let's take a look at what Mississippi State has done.
What a job well done by Mississippi State. I mean, do you remember that 2-game series against who was it? Austin Peay.
Yeah, I have the schedule pulled up. They lose 1 to Air Force opening week. They lose the next 2 midweeks against Austin Peay. And then after Saturday against Georgia Southern, I mean, you're looking at a 4-loss team. They're 3-4 on the year. And people are like, man, fire Lamonis. He's not doing this, that. We're not putting up with this shit again. And then they go on a run. Like you look at like the sweep over Auburn was huge. The 2 out of 3 against Vanderbilt, 2 out of 3 against Alabama. Like these are huge. I mean, they won 2 out of 3 against Georgia. So this Mississippi State team, 14-10, Dimitri, sitting at 18 in the RPI, but that's okay. They got some room left. But man, if they can win these last 2 regular season weekends against teams that, I mean, maybe not win the last 2, but let's say they take 1 at Arkansas and they sweep Missouri. So 4 wins. You're looking at a 19 and let's see.
18 and 14. No, 18 and 12. No.
Hold on. My math.
17 and 13. 17 and 13.
17 and 13, right. 17 and 13 or 18 and 12, like that's a guaranteed host. And I know those people at Duty Noble Field will be rowdy as hell.
Oh, you're hosting.
Yeah, they're going to host. So it's cool to see. I talked about it while you were gone, Dimitri, but as a player who you played in 2 regionals, is that right, at Mercer? Yeah. Man, weren't you glad you got sent to Mississippi State rather than, getting sent to like a Stetson or a Jacksonville or somebody like that? As a mid-major player, like going to play in that environment. Obviously, we root for mid-major teams to host, but at the same time, it's not the same experience that you get at a Baum Walker or wherever, Lindsey Nelson. Like that's where the kids want to play, the 2, 3, and 4 seeds. They want to play at these environments.
We kept getting projected that year. I think we kept getting projected Florida State. I think it was Florida State or something. We were like, dude, no, we want to go somewhere far, somewhere sick. We want to fly somewhere. In my 4 years in Mercer, I never got on an airplane once for school. Like for a road trip, we never got on an airplane. And we were like, oh, let's go. We get Mississippi State. We're like, dude, let's go. That's sick. Mississippi State. And then it was like, oh my God, it's 280. It was like 285 miles. We're like, oh my God, they're putting us on a damn bus. And we didn't meet the 300-mile threshold to get on a plane. So it was like, we were kind of pissed. We wanted to fly, but Mississippi State was sick. I mean,
yeah.
You can't ask for a better place to play.
Right. So like, as far as like regional hosts go, the committee will typically give it to an SEC or ACC team for that number 15, 16 host. If it's going up against, like last year, they gave it to Auburn over Campbell, right? Campbell was going to host at the Fayetteville Woodpeckers home park, minor league stadium in North Carolina. And like, although it would have been sick to see Campbell host a regional, the people at Plainsman Park were awesome. Like that Auburn regional was great. We got to see, who was it? Southern Miss advance out of it. They had to beat Penn twice.
The Quake show, baby.
Yeah, the Penn Quakers come out of nowhere out of the Ivy League and stun Auburn game 1. Samford was really good that regional too. And anyway, so although we will always root for the mid-major hosting a regional because it does wonders for their program. They earn a lot of revenue, a lot of money, a lot of time on TV and stuff like that. I promise you the 2, 3, and 4 seeds, they would rather play in like a giant, awesome SEC or ACC ballpark, Big 12 ballpark, something like that, rather than go play at a smaller one. But
yeah, I mean,
I will say, some of my favorite regionals have been mid-major ballparks. Like the ECU regionals are always great.
How about
when Southern Miss hosts?
Southern regional was insane.
Yeah, like Georgia Southern's I went to in person. That was fabulous.
They had
Southern Miss.
They had an actual bald eagle fluttering his wings as part of their rally, like their rally cry. I mean, who were they playing? It wasn't Texas Tech. It was who were they playing that Saturday night?
It was Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
Mhm.
Georgia Southern took the lead. That place erupted. That damn bald eagle was flying over everybody, flapping his wings, sitting on that guy's hand, and it was like, dude, this is insanely. This is unbelievable.
Yeah. So like right now, let me pull the RPI back up. I'll share my screen. But right now, I think that we probably have about 7 or 8 guaranteed hosts right now. And then besides that, we're looking at maybe another 15 teams that could play their way in. But like that's why this part of the season is so important, because we've seen teams fumble the bag and like, they're looking at a national seed to a 2 seed somewhere. Like you could lose 5 out of 6 and then lose your hosting ability.
Hey, let's do this. So A&M lock, Kentucky lock, Arkansas lock, Clemson lock, Georgia. Wait a second. North Carolina lock, Florida State lock, Tennessee lock, East Carolina lock, Indiana State. Dude, they're gonna host with that RPI. They're as of right now, they're a lock. And
For
then
sure.
coin flip between Wake Forest and Virginia. One of them will probably end up getting it. South Carolina, Alabama, Oregon State, Santa Barbara, Oklahoma, Mississippi State, North Carolina, NC State, Nebraska, Duke. Those are the teams fighting.
Yeah, I mean, I would put Ole Miss in that picture, or not Ole Miss. I'm sorry, Oklahoma State in that picture, Dallas Baptist in that picture. Dude, I wouldn't even count out like a UC Irvine. I know the Big West won't get 2 regional hosts, but if UC Santa Barbara falters down the stretch and Irvine wins the Big West and finishes like 20 RPI, I think the committee is going to really want that second West Coast team out there, just for like geographic purposes.
So scroll back up. That picture of Wake Forest, Virginia, South Carolina, Alabama, Oregon. I mean, Alabama, I don't think they're going to host. They this weekend pretty much solidified their fate, unless they just reel off 2 back-to-back series wins, 4-2, get 2 wins in Hoover. That'll get them at 4-2, 6-4, 6-6, 16-20. No, they have a lot of work to do. They have to really go off. So those final 3 teams are fighting for the last 3 or 4 spots. Those 6, 7, 8 teams.
Right. Yeah, because the RPI is not going to change too much over the next 2 weeks. The last 2 weekend series. Now, once you get into conference tournaments, you'll see the RPI change quite a bit because, I mean, you're playing for the most part usually quad 1 games. There's a ton of quad 1 games when conference tournaments roll around, just because usually the best teams qualify and play late. But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be fun down the stretch. It's looking like a very Southeast friendly hosting picture. But here's one team that I want to like kind of shout out right now. The UC Santa Barbara Gauchos were a team that, remember, we had them preseason ranked number 1 in the mid-major poll. They win game 1 20-8 against Campbell. They lose 2 out of 3 that series, and everybody's talking about like, hey, Campbell's the real deal, and they were at the time. Campbell started out the season red hot, and Santa Barbara started out pretty much ice cold, losing a bunch of games. But then they like started getting things going. March was a good month for the Gauchos, and when it comes down to it, look what they've done since April 12th. A sweep over Hawaii, win midweek against UCLA, 2 out of 3 against UC Davis, sweep Fullerton on the weekend, sweep UC San Diego. This is a team with 5 weekend series sweeps. UC San Diego, Fullerton, Hawaii, San Jose State, UConn, and they also have a series win over Oregon. UC Santa Barbara is dangerous as they come. Like, this is a team that will probably host a regional if they're eligible. I know they have some home field issues with the turf and everything like that, but I mean, Lake Elsinore did it a few years ago for them, so I'm sure they would probably head back there. But this is like an Omaha caliber team that's pitching lights out. They have some All-Americans. Like, watch out for the Gauchos.
It's so funny. Even we were getting guilt tripped into it when we were like, oh, we're not so high in Campbell this year. We're not so high. Everyone was just coming for our throat. And we had no choice but to succumb succumb.
Suck up to them.
Succumb. What's the word where you like succumb under pressure or you succumb to the pressure? Whatever, dude,
Maybe.
whatever the hell that word is. You fall for the pressure, and we were like, "Yep, we were wrong. Hand up, we were wrong." No. May 6th, we were right. We were 100%. It was always the Gauchos over Campbell, and it was always Campbell down here. We were right then. We were so right.
Yeah. I mean, I think we were right. But at the time, like early in the season, I was doubting us. I was like, wow, Campbell is the real deal. Santa Barbara sucks.
Myself.
But here, I'm going to pull up the Big West standings because I think the Big West gets forgotten about. But there's some of the like most exciting teams, and like it's just a baseball conference, right? We've seen Santa Barbara, Irvine, Long Beach State, Fullerton, even like
Don't
Hawaii
sleep on
has
Cal
made
Poly.
some. Cal Poly, like these teams have had a lot of regional hosts in the past, super regional appearances, even Omaha appearances. So like we are always a Big West supporter. But look at it now. Like this is a potential 3-bid league because Santa Barbara, they're at 16 in the RPI. They're probably not going to fall off too much, even if they lose the last 6 games. But this is the Big West also doesn't have a conference tournament. So they play that like one extra weekend of regular season games. And when it comes down to it, Santa Barbara's a lock, UC Irvine's a lock. But watch out for like Cal Poly, Northridge, and Hawaii. Northridge might be out now that they got swept by Hawaii. But like they could both, if they finish super strong and some of their non-conference opponents they played early in the season, play well. Like Hawaii, for example, 8 straight wins. They've got 3 weekend series left against some subpar teams. I think like Bakersfield, Davis, and Riverside. But if they finish 21-9 in the Big West, tied for second with an Irvine, like, dude, they might get in, which would be awesome. Like, I would love to see the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors, who went toe-to-toe with Ole Miss, toe-to-toe with NC State earlier this year, like make it to a postseason for the first time in 10 plus years. Like, that's what I'm rooting for.
100%. Hey, pull up our mid-major preseason rankings on our website and do the share screen if you want.
All right.
I want to go through it and basically just say hit or miss on some of these teams.
Let's do it. So preseason mid-major poll. We had Santa Barbara 1, Dallas Baptist 2, East Carolina 3, Troy 4, UC Irvine 5, Coastal Carolina 6, Northeastern 7, Southern Miss 8, UC San Diego 9, UNCW 10. So that was our top 10. I think it's safe to say we missed on UC San Diego. What'd you say?
I think that's a pretty phenomenal preseason top 10 for mid-major.
Yeah, I mean, like Coastal Carolina worries the hell out of me. They've lost 8 straight games since winning 2 out of 3 against Louisiana.
What? It would have been really easy to been like, oh, Coastal top 2 or top 3. It could have been very easy to it could have been super lazy if we wanted just to look smart or didn't do any research and wanted just to act like we knew what we were doing. We could have put Coastal in the top 3 and nobody would have said a word.
Yeah, I'm reading the write-up right now that we have on it. Coastal Carolina comes off another successful season hosting a regional in Conway. They should be put in contention for another Sun Belt title. They're not. They're like in 9th place now, which is nuts. But they return a ton of talent on the offense side of the plate. Caden Bodine, Zach Beach, Derek Bender combined for nearly 50 homers. Their pitching issues will continue in 2024 as they return experience but not high-end talent. Another year ahead where teams need to score 15 to beat the Chants, and Coastal needs to give up less than 10. Like, for the most part, spot on, but like they're not going to contend for the Sun Belt title. 6 straight Sun Belt losses. They also got swept in the midweek by Creighton.
Key words we put in there. They should be in contention.
And they were up till two weeks ago.
Yep, they were.
Yeah, but Coastal Carolina, on a different note, like they're fighting for just a regional berth at this point. 27-20, below 500. They're 11-13 in the Sun Belt, and man, they're in like 9th place. So the RPI is still there. They're in the 30s, but they cannot let this 8-game losing streak go any longer. Like, you got to take care of business. probably sweep one of these weekends
They're two
and play well in the Sun Belt tournament.
Quad one team. That's hey, buddy.
Yeah.
Like,
But then
Coastal-
after 10, we have so Indiana State 11. They're really, really good this year. Northridge 12. Charleston 13. San Jose State 14. Grand Canyon 15. They're playing really, really well right now. Georgia Southern 16. Look, Georgia Southern's 15-9 in the Sun Belt. They're tied for second place. They have some questionable series losses against some subpar teams, but like they're beating up who they're supposed to beat up. 26-21 this year. They should be about 30-15 though. They've lost some games they should have won. UConn, I think, is dangerous. I'm becoming a real fan of this UConn team. 12-3 in the Big East. They're just dominating teams. South Florida, that was a swing and a miss. San Diego, really freaking good. 33-13, 17-4 overall. We had them preseason ranked 19. That was probably my fault. I know Dimitri was high on San Diego, and I talked him down multiple times this year. But I'm a believer now. Evansville 20. I know Evansville tied for second in the Missouri Valley. Pretty good season. Maybe not top 20 overall, but who knows? It's still a dark horse. We had Campbell 21. They're getting killed in the CAA. Another series loss this weekend, 8-13 overall in the CAA. This ain't the Big South anymore, man. You can't just run out there and sweep weekend series.
I was just going to say, this ain't no damn Cinderella cupcakes Big South anymore. This is where the big boys play in the Coastal Athletic. Like week in,
it was like
week
almost
out,
a guarantee. Like Campbell could have played their second string out there in the Big South and won like 2 out of 3 most weekends. The CAA is really freaking good, dude. But then we have Jacksonville at 22, Old Dominion 23, Fresno State 24, and USC Upstate 25. All of them like pretty good years, above 500 in conference. But to compare that to what we have for this one that we just released an hour ago, you're going to see a lot of the same teams, just kind of mix and matched. We have East Carolina 1, UC Irvine 2, Indiana State 3. Oh, this is last week. I was like, wait, this isn't the new one. We just posted the new one on Twitter. It hasn't updated the website yet, but we did have like 5 new teams or 6 new teams in this week's mid-major poll. Austin P makes the list. Historic offense that they have this year. A lot of home runs, a lot of RBIs. And who else joined? Let's see. Samford still continues to roll. So the 6 new teams. James Madison, who is, I believe, like 31 in the RPI. Xavier, Cal Poly, Grand Canyon, Hawaii, and Austin P. They all joined this week in the mid-major top 25 that we do mid-major power rankings that we do every week. And really, like, I look at this list of the top, I would give it the top 12 teams. Like, I think the top 12 could all make super regionals. And that includes like East Carolina, Indiana State, UC Santa Barbara, Troy, Irvine, Dallas Baptist, San Diego, College of Charleston, UNC Wilmington, Louisiana, Southern Miss, and UConn. I think behind that, I don't see any of these teams making a super regional. I guess they could. Obviously, like we know regionals can become shit shows and like the 1 seed can lose to the 4 seed. I don't know. We've seen it before. Yeah. But these are all teams that I think can be highly competitive and possibly get at-large berths. Hey,
here's a question for you.
All right.
Here's a team that I think can shock people in the CAA tournament, and that's Campbell. If Campbell heats up just a little bit and played really well in the CAA tournament, I would not be there. I think they're good enough to be good enough for 5 games. You know what I'm saying? Like I think they're that kind of team. If they play it really, really well, I think they can compete with every one of those teams. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a team like Campbell somehow sneak into a semifinal or a championship game berth in the CAA.
Right. Yeah. Like definitely a dangerous team. Like when it comes to offense, like they can score with anybody. The pitching has been what has held them back a lot recently. I don't know if they can win the CAA tournament. In fact, I don't even know if they can even get in. I think it's just the top 4 teams this year, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna pull that up real
I thought it
fast.
was 6.
No, I think they changed it to top 4. But I could be wrong. It could still be 6. But I remember
Either
looking
way,
this up
they have a lot of
recently.
work to do.
Let's see. The CAA tournament 2024.
Yeah, I mean, Wilmington, and Northeastern, I think are pretty safe right now. Quad 1 records look good. Conference records look good. Charleston, I think that RPI gets up 10, 15 spot, they could get in. I think the CAA should be a 3-bid league.
All right, it is the top 6 seeds, and
Yep.
it's at UNC Wilmington this year, and the
1 and
top
2
2
get a
seeds
bye.
get a bye.
1 and 2 get a bye. Then 3, 4, 5, and 6 all play quarterfinal game.
Yeah, but like Campbell's still in trouble. They're 2 games out of that 6 seed, and you have 3 teams ahead of them, so they're going to need to pretty much win out. But even if
I
it is,
cannot
like
believe
Delaware's been a good story this year. Stony Brook's been a good story. William and Mary's always played competitive. Shout out to Mason, but I think it's going to come down like Charleston, UNCW, and Northeastern. One of those 3 is going to win this tournament. They're just too deep, and especially with that first round bye, like that does so much in a conference tournament because you use your ace against the 4 and 5 and 3, 4, 5, and 6 seeds, number 2 guys. So getting that top 2 seed bye is huge. So I imagine Wilmington or Charleston will end up winning the tournament.
All right. I just wanted to talk about one thing real quick before I forget. Let's switch it over to the Sun Belt for a second.
Perfect.
The end of that. Okay, first of all, Troy is for real. Troy is here to stay. I think they're in a great spot right now. But how massive Louisiana winning that game on Sunday was after Troy scored 6 runs in the 9th to force the fourth extra inning. They win that game. They're 1 game back with a sweep over Louisiana. I think
Troy would have taken first place with a win that day. It would have been tied, but they would have had the tiebreaker with Louisiana.
Yep. Like that's how.
But you're right. Like Will Butcher hits that game tying grand slam in the 9th, and I'm like, wow, Troy's about to sweep this series. They're about to be in first place in the Sun Belt. Like nobody saw this coming. But Louisiana held on, won in extras. Now they have a 2-game lead, but still, like Troy is a dangerous team in the postseason. I'm telling everybody, like things are starting to click over there. And if they get sent to like a Mississippi State as a 2 seed or somewhere as a 3 seed, like they're gonna be able to contend for a regional title. I'm telling you,
man, to be honest with you, a lot of shit can happen in the Fun Belt. I mean, you're looking at Louisiana. They've got work to do again. This weekend hurt them. They've got work to do to get into the postseason. Troy, Southern Miss, they're not done yet. Their resume is not done yet. They have work to do. They can't fall on their face and collapse at the end of the season, and they'll get in. Georgia Southern, App State, James Madison, Coastal Carolina are all still playing to get in. You play hot the next 2 weeks, kick some ass in the Fun Belt tournament, you might be sitting at a top 40, top 45 RPI. You might get a shot to get in.
Yeah, and so the Sun Belt tournament is top 10 teams. 7 plays 10, 8 plays 9, I think in a single elimination, just to get into the double elimination round. But top 2 get a bye, and man, like a team like Coastal, they're 1 game out from missing the Sun Belt tournament, which is scary because Coastal, South Alabama, Georgia State are all tied for 8th, 7 games back, but then Texas State is at 11th at 8 games back, so just 1 game ahead. So, like, I'm going to pull up Coastal Carolina here because a lot of people have them as a dark horse to get to Omaha because when they're playing their best, they're super, super talented. But you see this 8-game losing streak, whatever. They still have UNCG midweek, 3 against Georgia State, which will be huge. If they lose that series, they're probably in trouble. But then they do 3 at Marshall, which should be a win. Like, they should win that series. So if you're a Coastal Carolina fan, you have plenty of time to, get back to the winning ways. But these last 8 games
You have
have
plenty
been
of time.
brutal.
You have plenty of time, but not a whole lot of confidence.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, look, kind of like what I said preseason, like I felt like the Sun Belt was going to eat itself alive and there wouldn't be a regional host. Like nobody's hosting here. Like there will not be a Sun Belt regional host this year. But some dangerous 2 and 3 seeds. Louisiana, Troy, Southern Miss. I think they're all pretty much in good spots if they finish the season strong to make a regional. But then like even App State, Georgia Southern, James Madison have shown a lot of flashes this year of being highly competitive. Like any of those 3 teams can win the Sun Belt tournament and get in. James Madison's interesting, man. 37 RPI, which would be prime, like at large spot, 13 and 11 in the conference. Coastal's got to find a way to get in because it could be a 4 bid league.
3, I think it's 3 right now.
Yeah, probably a 3 bid, but who knows? A lot of quad 1 games coming up. Another conference. Now I want to take a quick peek at here. The Big East is a conference that I think has surprised a lot of people, including myself. But between UConn, St. John's, Georgetown, and Xavier, I mean, all 4 of those teams, and the Big East tournament is just the top 4 teams that make it. This is going to be one of the best conference tournaments out there. 4 teams at Prasco Park in Cincinnati, where it's free to get in, free food. If you live near the Cincinnati area, go check it out. Prasco Park's awesome. Like Dimitri, I know you're a huge fan too. But man, these 4 teams battling it out in a double elimination format is going to be sick. There's hopes that you get 1 at-large bid out of this league, and it's a 2-bid league, but maybe not. Like it might not end up that way.
The only way here's the 2-bid league for you: Xavier and UConn or St. John make it to the conference championship. Xavier's got to make it to the championship game.
Well, I mean, 2 of them will make it to the championship game.
Well,
right?
Well, you just got to hope Georgetown doesn't make it. So if Xavier makes the championship game, UConn or St. John makes it, their RPI should be top 40, like 34 to 38 range. Xavier wins the championship, and then UConn or St. John gets that at large. It'll play. It's a fine line for this to be a 2-bid league.
Yeah, I think it's going to end up being a 2-bid league because what's going to happen is like when you have 4 teams in a double elimination tournament, I mean, they're already 3 of the 4 are quad 1 games. So that's going to add at least 2 more quad 1 games. It's going to help each other out. That's why they don't invite 5, 6, 7, and 8. Creighton, all-time fumble of the bag. Creighton wins those 2 games against Coastal and then loses 6 straight conference games. Creighton got swept by.
Didn't they?
Yeah, they keep winning midweek games, right? Like they win the midweek against Nebraska, the 2 midweeks against Coastal, and another midweek against Nebraska, but get swept this weekend at St. John's. They lose both games against Georgetown. They lose 2 out of 3 against Villanova. They lost 2 out of 3 against Xavier. Like they're winning the midweeks. They just cannot win on the weekends. They have UConn coming up, which they probably at UConn they're not winning that series. No way. And then Seton Hall. So Creighton season's going to be done. They won't even make the conference tournament, which is going to be sad. But I guess it is what it is. But anyways, I say all this. I'm a big fan of the Big East. Like I think we saw St. John's take down Florida Friday night opening day. They're a really good team. UConn, they play a really tough non-conference schedule. This is going to be probably their 5th or 6th straight regional appearance. So veteran guys. And then like Xavier and Georgetown, like some wild cards, but still, they'll be fun in the regionals. All right, let's do the big dogs now. ACC, Big 12, Big 10.
We haven't even talked about the ACC this whole episode.
No, I know, but I wanted to spend some time on the ACC, so I want to get all that stuff done out of the way first. The ACC is shaping up to be like a really, really fun conference because it's very similar to Hoover, where like they have 14 teams to the SEC. Like SEC has 14 teams. The bottom 2 teams don't make the conference tournament, which is fine. Like, we don't need to see Pitt and Miami or Pitt and Boston College. Like, they didn't earn their way into a conference tournament situation. But a team like Notre Dame, who was trash like up to like 3 weeks ago, they're playing really good baseball lately. Like, Notre Dame's a team where they're not going to get an at-large bid, but like they win 2 out of 3 against Pitt, win 2 out of 3 against Wake Forest, sweep Boston College. Like, they've done all that in the last 3 weeks, and they put themselves in position from, let's see, that's 7 games. Yeah, they were 9 and like maybe 9 and 12, no 9 and 15 up until 3 weeks ago. Now they're 9 and 18 in ACC play. So that's a dangerous team that could spoil somebody's regional berth or like regional hosting berth or
Wait, did you
potential
just say
at-large
9
berth.
and 12 to 9 and 18? That's bad.
No, I
You
meant
mean,
they were
3
2,
and 18, 3 and 15 or whatever.
yeah, something like that. 3 and 15. That sounds right. But anyways, that's just a dangerous team that like once we get into the ACC tournament, they do 4 pods of 3 and kind of a round robin. It's the ACC's hack to get more quad 1 games in there. But like they could win a pod and make it to a semifinal. Like it would not shock me if that happened because of like how well they've been playing. But anyways, like teams like Louisville, who are 13 and 11 in conference. I know their RPI is at 57, but still, if they finish with like a 500 or above record in the ACC play, like they're probably going to get an at-large berth over a mid-major team. Like that's what the committee's kind of done in the past. They respect the conference play record. Georgia Tech has put themselves into a at-large position too. 12 and 12 in the ACC, 46 RPI. If they finish strong, and I know they have. Who does Georgia Tech have left? I think it's like Duke and Florida State. Like it's tough, but look, it's all right there in front of them. Auburn midweek, which would be a not a quad 1 game because they're 49 RPI, but still like a good. It'll help the RPI if they win. 3 against Duke, all quad 1 games. Mercer midweek, like whatever. They're probably gonna cancel that game, to be honest, because then they have 3 at Florida State. So I think if Georgia Tech wins one of those last 2 series against Duke or Florida State, you can lock them in for the postseason. Just my
Yeah, I
opinion.
mean, Louisville's really interesting for me. They're not dead yet. And I think this Louisville team is actually a really good team. I think they can hit really well. They can pitch okay. But I think this is a team that, hey, watch out. Watch out for Louisville. Is what I'm trying to say. I think they can really compete.
Yeah, they're a team that beats up on really bad pitching. But when you get like a good pitcher in there, like a good starting pitcher, they usually get shoved.
They just can't pitch very well. And it's like, you know how the postseason is all about hitting. So if you can't pitch very well, you still have a shot because the
Yeah.
other teams are probably not going to pitch very well. Just how the
Um,
postseason is.
wow, Louisville's got a lot in front of them too. At Vanderbilt midweek tomorrow, at UNC, and then Indiana midweek, who's a pretty good like all 4, and then against Notre Dame, who's 52 RPI at home. So like the last 8 games are really important for Louisville. If they go
Massive.
5 and 3, 6 and 2, lock them in for the postseason.
Yep.
I don't know. But anyways, like my point with the ACC is like, look, I think this is a week in, week out scenario. Obviously, Clemson and North Carolina have been the 2 best teams consistently throughout the year. But there have been times where teams like NC State, Florida State, Virginia, Duke, like they look like the best teams in the ACC. So I don't know
And
if it's
Duke.
do what?
And Duke.
Oh yeah, I didn't mean to skip Duke, but yes, Duke as well. I mean, you're looking at 6 teams there that all have just like Omaha, like not even Omaha hope, but like regional hosting hope. Teams that, and we see it every year. Like ACC always has a team that gets hot at the end of the year and they go deep. And I'll tell you a team that's like super, super underrated. I know Wake Forest has been kind of annoying this year, 12 and 12 in the ACC. They've lost some weekend series that were just like head scratchers, but pound for pound talent, Wake Forest, when healthy, they could win the whole damn thing. Like they could win Omaha. Like they have the pieces, and I would just watch out for Wake Forest. Like they could be not a dark horse, but they were voted unanimous number one preseason for a reason. And sometimes we see teams like that kind of catch fire at this point of the season. So I have my eyes on Wake Forest pretty heavily.
Yeah.
Who would you say has the best chance? Who would you say has the best chance in the ACC to win the College World Series right now?
Honestly, I think Duke had the greatest shot. If I had to pick, it would be Duke, Florida State, or Clemson.
I think my three in order to win the whole thing. Like when I say win the whole thing, I'm thinking regional format, super regional format, College World Series format. You need depth. You need old salty vet players too, that have kind of been there before. And you also need a coaching staff that's just like full of dogs. I would say my order: Clemson 1, Florida State 2, and it comes like North Carolina seems like the pick, but I
I'm not
think
a
I might
huge fan of Carolina.
do what?
I'm not a huge fan of them. I feel like they're that team that's just super consistent. They're not too high, but they're not too low in terms of talent. They're just a consistent, well-rounded ball club. But I feel like their ceiling is lower than some of these other teams.
That might be a good way to put it. There have been times this year where like I've been a big North Carolina believer, and sometimes I tell myself like, man, this team might just be like too young. But at the end of the day, like they keep winning games. It's tough because I really do I like Wake Forest a lot. I think NC State has a lot of talent as well. Duke is another team that's going to win most Fridays with Jonathan Santucci on the mound. And then you have like Virginia, who consistently goes to Omaha the most out of these teams.
Virginia and North Carolina are similar. Not too high of ceiling, just well-rounded, very consistent, good team. Like
and
Wake Forest
sometimes that's
ceiling,
what you need though to get to Omaha. Like teams that aren't going to
I
beat
think it's all
themselves.
about getting hot and reaching your ceiling is what you need to get to Omaha. Consistency and like just being an average, well-rounded team doesn't win you a national championship. It's getting hot and tapping into your ceiling of being like one of the best. Talent for talent.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So, you know what? We can sit here and spend an hour like we have been talking about a week from now, 2 weeks from now, our opinion and the standing, everything's going to be so different that it's like we can just give you kind of our insight, but you can't really make any picks or make any like scenarios because it's going to be so different next Sunday night,
Right.
Monday night.
No, 100%. Yeah, I don't know. And plus with like the committee, like you know how they match up regionals to meet in a super. Sometimes these Carolina schools they kind of get screwed. You know, it'll be a UNC versus I don't know, like Arkansas in a super regional, or you know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
They usually get matched up with the SEC, top 8 national seeds. That's why it's so important to get a national seed because you do have a chance of matching up with a lesser conference or whatever.
No. We'll see.
I think this is a
I
9
think
bid league minimum.
I think these conference tournaments are going to be legendary this year. I think the depth in these conferences is the best it's ever been.
You want to talk about depth? The Big 12, holy depth, man! Like so, the top 10 teams in the Big 12 make it to the conference tournament, and right now it's like pretty much locked in that Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Texas, West Virginia, Kansas, Cincinnati, Kansas State, TCU, UCF, and Texas Tech will be those 10 teams. Like Baylor, Houston, BYU just don't have enough, I don't think, this year to get to that point. But look, Oklahoma might be one of the better stories this year in college baseball. I know they got swept by Lamar in non-conference, and Lamar's a good team, but Oklahoma consistently this year has been the best team in the Big 12. They have a 3-game lead over Oklahoma State, Texas, and West Virginia.
Can you
And they
talk
come off a
about
sweep over Texas Tech at Lubbock, which is nuts. So Oklahoma looks like they're going to end up hosting a regional this year and being that Big 12 regional host. But as far as like teams 2 through 10, a ton of depth. And this conference tournament is going to be epic. A lot of runs are going to be scored indoor at the Globe Life Field. Texas Rangers hosting it. If you live anywhere around this Arlington, Dallas area, like go to this tournament. It's going to be awesome. There's going to be big moments. And I think there's going to be a team like a TCU, Kansas State, UCF that could possibly win it.
I've got 3 things. Number 1, major hat tip to the Cincinnati Bearcat. 13-11 in Big 12 play. Nobody expected them to be any good this year. They weren't even a threat in the American Conference a year ago. And to be 2 games over 500 with 2 weekends to play, really impressed with them. So I will eat my words. I said Cincinnati was not even going to win 5 games in conference. They tripled that almost. UCF, TCU, they're back. TCU is alive and back, right in the picture of things. I think they're just fine right now. I think TCU just finishes, win one more series, lose a series 3-3, 16-17 going into Big 12 tournament play. I think they're just fine.
Yeah, they have one. TCU has one Big 12 series left. They do play non-conference against New Mexico State this week, but 3 against West Virginia at home. If they win that series 2 out of 3, they'll be 15-15 in the Big 12. The RPI will be in the 20s, and TCU will be in the tournament. So it was tough when they were 10-14 in the conference and looking like maybe possibly missing the conference tournament, but here they are.
My last thing I was going to say, I hate the Big 12 tournament at Globe Life. I wish it would play at that Chickasaw Bricktown in Oklahoma City, I think it is. Like a smaller stadium, still a minor league park, still like a big stadium, but I hate the conference. It feels so stale at Globe Life. It just doesn't feel so electric and as, I don't know. I just don't like the college baseball game in big league ballparks. I just don't like them.
Yeah, because you see a ton of empty seats. I know what you're saying, but at the end of the day,
and it's
so indoors. It's the only
far.
Indoor conference tournament out there, and we know about rain. So at least you know you're going to be playing games at certain times, and you're not going to be playing until 2 a.m.
So. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of the Globe Life. Even the World Series there last year didn't feel cool. Even the ALCS against the Astros, it didn't feel. Globe Life is so big and high and so far.
It's the TV angles. I know exactly what you're talking about. The TV angles are crazy because you feel like you're watching the game from center field. Super high up there.
The stands are super vertical, so people are super high up and far away. It just doesn't feel very personified and no character and flavor in their game. That's just my opinion.
I want to talk about UCF real fast because they've won, let's see, 3 straight games, but for the most part, they've kind of been sleeping. What's the word I'm looking for? I think they're a sleeping giant because of how well they played in the beginning of the season. Winning some big time games, but they have Texas and Baylor coming up. If they can win this Texas series and obviously win the series at Baylor, and Texas is playing really good baseball. So I'm not saying that they will beat Texas, but it will be at home. I think it's going to be an electric atmosphere there in Orlando. If they finish 4-2, and they're 15-14 in conference play, the RPI will be looking good. It's just a team that I think you can take a flyer on if you want to invest or gamble. I could see them getting a path to making it to Omaha. I think they'd be a really good super regional team. They play with a ton of emotion. It seems like they play better against, they play better in better environments. I don't know. I think UCF's a team that we're kind of forgetting about. So that's all I'm going to say.
I think it could be one of my favorite tournaments for sure. And the regular season finish will be fun too.
For sure. The Big Ten's interesting too. Big Ten, we get 5 teams within a game and a half of each other. 6 teams, Michigan's 2 games back. But I feel like all of these teams play each other this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. Illinois is in first place by 1 game. They have Iowa this weekend at home for 3. Purdue is playing Michigan this weekend. And then Nebraska, I believe, is playing Indiana. Let me double check that. Yeah, Nebraska against Indiana. So those top 6 teams, all just 2 games back of each other, are all playing against each other. So the one that's going to help all of their RPIs. Michigan and Iowa, no chance for an at-large, but you could still win a conference tournament or put yourself in better position winning the conference tournament. But Indiana, Purdue, Nebraska, Illinois, like they're all in the top 70. Nebraska's looking the best at 21, but these Illinois at 61, Indiana 62, Purdue at 69, like they're in the at-large picture right now. They need to do some work, but if you finish strong and win some quad 1 games, like you're right there in it. And so I think the Big Ten will get at least 2 teams in. Assuming like, if Nebraska doesn't win the conference tournament, like they're an at-large. And then like who knows, like a team like Indiana that played a pretty good non-conference schedule and has been losing a lot of games throughout the course of the year, like that RPI is going to jump up. So I don't know.
I think if you're the Big Ten commissioner, you are pulling for Nebraska to win this regular season title and get your one bit, because Nebraska's the only shot of the Big Ten hosting.
Oh yeah, by far.
And then I mean it's just here's a really weird, interesting team in Maryland, 8th in the Big 12 with the 2nd best RPI in the conference, and it's like I just think it's so interesting looking at teams where they finish in the conference standing, but they get in at large because of their RPI, and you're just sitting there like, dude. Like, it's just so weird to see a team finish behind 3 different teams but get an at-large bid while those teams sit at home.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they'll get to that point. Even if they finish 13-11 in conference, I think the committee would skip over them if they finish 6th.
They're getting in. If Maryland wins that series, win 2 or 3 games, make the semifinal, for example, of the Big Ten tournament, they're getting in.
I would disagree with that. I don't think you can finish because look, they have 11 losses.
Okay, but think about it. Let's just say they go 13-11 in conference play, 2 or 3 wins in the Big Ten tournament. That's 15, 16 Big Ten wins with the top 35 RPI. They're getting in.
I guess, yeah. I think the committee would skip over them. That's just my opinion, though. We've seen them do it before.
Top 35, no way. With the 13, yeah, I just think it'd be too hard to pass up on them.
Maybe. Pac-12 standings. Arizona's 2-game lead over Utah. Oregon State 2.5 back. Oregon 3. Look, man, this is tough because I love the Pac-12, and I know this is going to be the last year of the conference. But when the Pac-12 is good at baseball, it does make this sport a lot better because then you have coast-to-coast fans caring about everything. I think Utah is a really good story. I feel like they're going to fall off down the stretch. In fact, let me see what they did this weekend. I didn't look at them. Oh, that's right. They lost 2 or 3 at Oregon, but they did play well. But then they have Arizona, USC coming up. Like they're going to have to win this series at Arizona to even have a chance to get in. But man, like
don't forget,
it's kind of like a depressing conference, in my opinion.
I think it's a disappointing year for the Pac-12. Oregon State, major disappointment in conference play. Cal, kind of disappointing. You could argue USC was a disappointing story based on their preseason hype. So, I mean, in UCLA, there's no excuse for UCLA to be 13 games under 500. Absolutely no fucking excuse.
No excuse. Yeah. I don't know. It's going to come down to Oregon State, Arizona, that last weekend series, which will be awesome. That'll be on the weekend series pick 'em. And then, like, the Pac-12 at least does have a conference tournament. They went without one for so long, but there will be a conference tournament in the Pac-12. And it's usually a lot of fun because they usually play in Arizona. The ball flies there. They play at that minor league park. I always forget what it is.
Salt River? Is it they play Salt River or Talking Stick?
I think it's Talking Stick. I'm about to look it up here.
I think it's Salt River, maybe Talking Stick. But do you remember that game between UCLA and Stanford?
Oregon?
I think it was.
I thought it was Oregon.
Or no, Oregon State, UCLA, where they scored like 20 runs each.
So they're playing at Scottsdale Stadium this year, and it's 3 pools. I forget they do. Yeah, they do this really weird conference tournament. 3 pools of 3 teams, and each team is guaranteed 2 games. The 2 teams that advance to Saturday's championship. It's something about like the highest seed team. I don't remember. It's a weird conference tournament.
It's
But the
basically
top 9 make it.
it's the ACC tournament on steroids.
Yeah, but then there's also like a wild card team.
That's
So
what I'm saying.
the 3 pool
ACC
winners go,
tournament
and
on
then like the
steroids.
best remaining 4th team goes. It's like a wild card situation.
3 pool winners, and then the best remaining team that didn't win their pool.
Yes, that's what it is, and they play a
And it's the
semifinal.
ACC tournament on steroids. Just makes 0 sense. Like who drew this out on paper and said, "Oh, this is a great fucking idea. This is a great idea. Let's go with this."
It's crazy, dude. It's a joke. But yeah, I mean, it looks like it's going to be those 9 teams. I don't know. It's going to be it's a fun conference tournament to watch. Don't get me wrong, but it's going to be interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think if there's a team that could be a sleeper, like don't sleep on Oregon. If they get in the tournament, like they were a super regional team last year and probably should have went to Omaha. They just could not beat Oral Roberts. They were at
Put them
home.
away.
But PK Park was awesome as a super regional host. That was fun. I would say Oregon is a sleeper there, if you want to call them that. But anyways, we'll take a quick look at just all of the conference standings real quick, and then we'll wrap up. We'll do the midweek preview. But we already did the ACC. Like Bryant, 3 games ahead in the American East. The East Carolina is just running through teams. Dude, if you want to take a flyer on a team to win the whole thing, East Carolina's 25-1. They can win the whole. They could win the whole thing. But taking care of business in the American, that's another one of my conference tournaments I love watching. 9 a.m. that Tuesday. Austin P, huge weekend. They win 2 out of 3 at Stetson. They take over first place in the ASUN. But look at these standings, man. Like 5 teams within a game. Lipscomb's a really good team. We saw them beat Tennessee in a midweek. They're just 3 games back. The ASUN tournament will be fun to keep up with. It's a 1-bid league. Kennesaw's played their way out of that at-large spot, but still, it's going to be anybody's ball game. The A10, St. Louis, Dayton, UMass, VCU. Oh, Dimitri, did you see the drama with VCU? Their game against East Carolina got canceled for tomorrow because East Carolina said that they didn't have enough pitching. They had too many pitching injuries. Have you ever heard that before?
That's the new rain delay.
Yeah, like it was almost too transparent, right? The NCAA comes out and says like we're going to be, keeping up and making, don't cancel your midweeks is what they're saying. Don't cancel your midweeks because of RPIs. We will penalize you. And East Carolina's like, too many pitching injuries. Can't play in a midweek.
That is some shit.
Yeah, it was
But
weird.
what are people going to argue and say, oh, my God, no, make them play. Oh, my God, we have to risk pitchers' injuries. Nobody can argue against that. It's really clever.
I know. But it goes back to my rant from last week's episode where I was like, dude, college pitching just ain't what it used to be, man. Everybody's getting hurt because they're throwing in the offseason. They're trying to throw 95 miles an hour in the offseason.
Gas prices are going up. Velo prices are going up as well.
Yeah, and there's always a trade-off. People don't realize this, but here's a quote for you. One of my favorite coaches growing up used to always say, your arm can only go as fast as it can slow down. And people keep working on these muscles to make their arm go faster and throw harder. There's like another set of muscles that like helps it slow down, right? Like helps it from not tearing apart, rotator cuff and your elbow and this and that. But nobody works on those muscles anymore. And that's where you're seeing a lot of arm injuries. So it can only go as fast as it can slow down. We already talked about the Big 12, already talked about the Big East. Big South, kind of surprising. Like Presbyterian and High Point come out of nowhere and kind of taking a grip on that conference. Upstate 14-7. They were the preseason favorite by far. Still have the best RPI. But the Big South tournament will be at High Point this year, not on campus where they play, but the minor league stadium, High Point Rockers. And man, it's going to be fun to watch this one without Campbell in it. Liberty's been in the past. Coastal Carolina's been in that tournament, so there's going to be a new king of the Big South coming up in a few weeks.
Ben, don't lie to yourself. The Big South tournament is not going to be a fun one to watch.
It'll be fun because I think Jack's going to be on the call. So.
Hey, take it back. Great, super exciting, very fun, electric conference tournament to watch. I will be watching that one now.
Yeah, you know what I like about like conference tournaments? So like Jack and I have talked about if he does not broadcast a Big South tournament, like some places we might want to go. The Big South tournament's in High Point, which is only about an hour from Charlotte, where the ACC tournament's going to be. So like we could theoretically stay 30 minutes from each one and hop back and forth. Same thing goes for the SEC tournament in Hoover, and the Sun Belt tournament is in Montgomery, I believe. And
Montgomery,
that's not far at all either. I think it's 45 minutes both ways. So like if you're a big college baseball fan, you could go back and forth. If you want to go to a mid-major tournament and an SEC or ACC tournament, they're both just right there. So there's been some talks about possibly making a trip to one of those two.
That would be awesome. I would have major FOMO.
Yeah. We've already talked about the CAA. Conference USA. Look, Western Kentucky's still there. Like, even though they're falling off kind of since what they've been playing the beginning of April, still got a 1-game lead over Dallas Baptist and the tiebreaker. Louisiana Tech's right there in the mix too. And then look at 21-26 Liberty, who's 11-7 in conference. They're a dangerous team, man. I'm telling you. They play a lot of non-conference games against good teams. They get beat up on, but talent-wise, like they're up there. But yeah,
Dallas Baptist needs to figure out, do whatever it takes to win this conference.
Win the conference regular season. If you're Dallas Baptist, win the tournament too. Then it's a 1-bid league, and you got a chance to host. Like the path is there. In fact, let me take a look at Dallas Baptist real quick. They get Liberty, Middle Tennessee State. Like should be 5-1 there, at the very least 4-2. Western Kentucky has at Louisiana Tech and New Mexico State. Wow, Western Kentucky, Louisiana Tech, that's definitely going to be on the weekend series pick 'em. But anyways, Wright State leading the Horizon. That's their conference. They've run it for like the last 5, 6, 7 years. The Raiders will probably be a 4 seed at one of these SEC schools and give them a scare. That's usually what happens. Ivy League's already locked up. Columbia won it. Just waiting on the conference tournament. The Metro Atlantic, the MAC, Fairfield, Niagara. Dude, Niagara is actually a pretty solid team. I've been overlooking them all year, but last night when I was doing the mid-major power rankings, I took a look at them. Like they swept Richmond. I know an A10 school, whatever, but a 4-game sweep over Richmond, start out the year is pretty good. They split with James Madison, not a bad look. So I don't know. Like this conference always, they're always like America's team in the regionals, right? Like Fairfield was at America's team a few years ago, Ryder last year. Like people just rooting for upsets. And they usually play well in regionals. So I don't know. I like Niagara a lot, though. I think they're much better than what I thought. The actual MAC, Bowling Green, 19-5 in conference, 4-game lead, 1-bid league. Like whoever wins that conference tournament's getting in.
I love the MAC conference tournament.
Dude, it feels like it always comes down to like a walk-off homer in the 9th, right? Like those years with like Kent State, Ball State, Central Michigan was really good in the past. In fact, that Central Michigan coach is the coach at Cincinnati now, the one that turned that program around in 1 year. So you could see the fall off. Central Michigan went from a top-tier MAC team. I even think they were a 3 seed in 2019 at Mississippi State, but now they're a last-place club, and Cincinnati's competing in the Big 12. So that coach there is a real deal.
He speaks volume to how good of a coach he is.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, the MAC will be a one bid league, but always fireworks in that conference tournament. Missouri Valley, Indiana State obviously is the thoroughbred of that conference. I'm a bit surprised with UIC. Illinois Chicago, 30-13 this year. They continue to win weekend series, 14-7 in conference. Man, I would have probably bet a lot of money that teams like Evansville, Missouri State, Southern Illinois would be better than them this year, but I'm wrong. And they kind of put themselves in that at-large picture. I know they're at 73, but I mean, let's see what Illinois Chicago has left. Illinois State and Evansville, Iowa, Purdue. I mean, who knows? They go 8-0 those last 8 games. They'll be in that at-large picture, but unlikely. The Mountain West is nuts, dude. 5 teams within a game and a half of each other: Fresno State, New Mexico, Nevada, Air Force, San Jose State. I thought San Jose State was going to run away with this conference with Fresno. You can take a look at our mid-major polls preseason.
Yeah.
I liked both of those teams a lot. Fresno's been playing like crap lately, but San Jose State's been playing a lot better. It's a one bid league, and I think they play their conference tournament in Vegas, and a bunch of high scoring games. But yeah, just something to keep an eye out on. Northeastern Conference, Sacred Heart takes 2 out of 3 against Wagner. That was on our weekend series pick'em. They now have a game lead on Long Island Wagner. So those 3 at the top haven't really changed much, but I don't know. Jack's in love with the Long Island Sharks. And who knows? One bid league. Whoever wins that tournament. Oh, also, shout out to Maryland Eastern Shore. They almost got a win this weekend. 0-41, but they lost 9-10 to Lemoyne on Saturday. So one running, man, they got, let's see, 0-41, and they have 8 games to play. What are the chances you think they go 0-49?
They're not winning a game, dude.
I told Jack they're going to beat George Mason tomorrow.
That would be
that's Jack's
else.
daughter. He loves George Mason. I think I can see the writing on the wall that Maryland Eastern Shore beats George Mason on Tuesday in a midweek. But dude, 0-49, man, you almost have to disband your baseball team there. That can't happen.
Massive weekend. SEMO, daddies of the OVC, we need it. We need SEMO to find a way to get their regular season title.
Yeah, the OVC has been back and forth the last 3 weeks between Little Rock, SEMO. Morehead State was in first last week. Tennessee Tech has been really, really good this year. I love the OVC tournament too. I love all these conference tournaments, but the OVC tournament is fun because every game is like 21-20. It's just launching pads. So, yeah, let's keep an eye out on there. Little Rock's got a legitimate Friday night ace that could beat a 1 seed. I think they're dangerous, but at the same time, Little Rock's going to – if they do advance to a regional, they're going straight to Fayetteville and getting a little Hagen-Smith action. So, nobody's been able to beat him the last 3 years. We already did the Pac-12. Army, first place in the Patriot League, game and a half, and the tiebreaker over Navy. That conference tournament, it feels like Army wins every single year, and they do. We started the show with the SEC. Man, one thing I forgot to mention about the SEC. Why are people so hesitant? I had this rant earlier this year too, but why are people so hesitant to put Kentucky at number 1 in the nation? They're 17-5 in quadrant 1 games. I mean, nobody's even sniffing that right now. Tennessee 11-8. I know Tennessee did beat them 2 out of 3.
But you know what the thing is? There's that phrase, to be the best, you got to beat the best. Kentucky has beaten 17 of the best teams in the country, or won 17 times against the best teams in the country.
Yeah, and honestly, no offense to Kentucky fans, but they might be dumb enough to be we want the number 1 overall seed. Give us a number 1 overall. Meanwhile,
you don't want it.
Fans, Arkansas fans, Texas A&M fans, they know about the curse of the number 1 seed. They're like, we don't want it. It doesn't matter. Give us a 2, 3, 4.
LSU played it perfectly. They had a little flip up at the end of the year, flip to number 3 national seed, number 4 national seed, and 1 L.
Yep. Dude, there's a legitimate curse, and like if you're new to college baseball, the last one overall seed to win the College World Series was Miami in like 2000, right? Or 1999.
1999 Miami Hurricane.
Yeah, so it's only happened once in the super regional era. So I think if you're an SEC fan, you're like, please rank Kentucky number one. Like just rank them number one, and like let them be happy. Big Blue Nation would run like they would run with that number one seed and be so pumped. Like we're not a basketball school, we're a baseball school, number one in the country. And I mean, odds are they're probably not going to win the whole thing. But anyways, it is time. Like Kentucky, like let's respect them. Huge series win. But at the same time, like this conference is a gauntlet. What'll be interesting though about the SEC, Auburn has already, I think, clinched like not like they can't make the conference tournament. They're 4-20, which is just flat out embarrassing. Like that was a team I picked to go to Omaha.
Let's go. Let's go. Nobody cared about Auburn.
I do. I picked them to go to Omaha this year, and they're 4-20. But like they're going to miss the SEC tournament. But there is a race like Missouri, Ole Miss, LSU. Missouri looks like the team that's going to miss it because two don't get in. But if Ole Miss or LSU have a bad last 2 weeks and Missouri wins, I don't know. Like they could definitely get in. But anyways, it doesn't matter.
SoCon, Stanford.
Sanford, they beat Mercer 2 out of 3 this week, and that was sad. It's tough seeing Mercer 5-9 in the SoCon. I've never seen that in my life. Don't have much to say, but like UNCG and ETSU, I don't know how their RPI is this high. I know they play a bunch of midweek games against SEC and ACC teams, but like, dude, they kind of have an at-large shot.
No, they don't.
They
No,
strong.
they don't.
Dude,
Move
yes,
along.
they do. I was looking. Yes, they do. When I was doing the mid-major poll yesterday. UNCG has Coastal Carolina midweek, Sanford for 3, and Upstate for 3.
That's not enough.
I'm telling you, I think it could be. They're at 59 in the RPI. So
They're
watch
2-4 against quad one team. They don't have enough. They with a bad RPI, it's not enough.
It's not a bad RPI. They're 59 with Coastal, Sanford, and USC Upstate.
I mean, was Sanford on the road?
Sanford is at home.
Yeah, that's not a quad one.
Anyways, Lamar running through the Southland, 2-game lead over Nichols. Lamar finished strong, guys. 36-10 this year. Like, go win 40 games. That's awesome. Sunbelt, we've already talked about. SWAC, it's a one-bid lead.
Florida A&M, Tallahassee's team.
Yeah, they would go straight to Tallahassee for regional. Summit League, I expressed how much I hate the Summit League last episode. Only 5 postseason eligible teams. Someone's going to win the tournament. 20% chance. Who cares? San Diego, I still think is very deadly. But St. Mary's has been putting together a pretty solid resume. They were like 26 or 27 in the mid-major poll. Really, really good season for them.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyways, and then Grand Canyon. Look what Grand Canyon's done the last 7 games. They're winning the WAC. Like, look at some of these scores. 7-0, 4-3 was whatever, but 20-5 against Seattle, 24-8 against Arizona, and then Cal Baptist, who is really good. Like, it was a battle of first place in the WAC. Grand Canyon wins 11-1, 14-2, and 9-1. So Grand Canyon's getting hot right now. 19-5 in conference, 4-game lead over Abilene Christian. So that's kind of the conference standings rundown. Let's do a little midweek preview. I know this midweek is loaded. If you're on YouTube, you can just check us out. We're looking at all of the top 25 games in the midweek. But look at this slate right here. Arizona State's always fun. Like, whatever. It's a 2 p.m. game, which is weird. 11 a.m. their time. But like Kentucky at Xavier.
Probably the kids' day game.
RPI.
Huh? Probably their kids' day game. The kids probably get out of school.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that sounds right. But Kentucky at Xavier is big for both of those teams. Clemson at a good Charlotte team. Well, I wouldn't say they're a talented Charlotte team, but whatever. This is the big one right here. Duke at East Carolina. Hopefully East Carolina's pitching is not injured enough for this game. I guess it was a Monday game that East Carolina canceled against VCU. That's what it was. Jacksonville at Florida State. Always fun to watch those interstate Florida matchups in the midweek. Campbell at UNC. High scoring game there for sure. And Alabama at Troy. Yeah, I saw Troy posted that game sold out, standing room only. They're having like a pregame tailgate. Huge for both of these teams. And that's going to be a fun one to watch. And then there was a couple like unranked games that I saw, like UConn at Northeastern, 1 p.m. Like, wow. For Northeast baseball, like that is a huge, huge game for both of these at-large potential teams. Let's see. There was another big one I had circled. I think it was towards the end of the day. UNCG at Coastal was another big one I had circled. But apparently UNCG is not going to get an at-large, so who cares?
They're not.
I'm telling you, there's a chance. But
Louisville Vandy is important.
Oh, yeah. Louisville Vandy, very important for both of those teams. I don't think there was anything else.
It. UC San Diego. Great battle in San Diego.
UC San Diego's been bad lately. Really bad.
They're still a good team, but San Diego they always win that game.
Yeah.
They always win that series.
Let's see Wednesday slate. Anything big on Wednesday? Georgia Southern, Jacksonville. No. Nothing else really. And then let's go ahead and pick our 6 weekend series. People love the behind the scenes stuff. So
all right.
So we can't pick Georgia at South Carolina. That's a Thursday night matchup. I guess we could potentially use it, but let's try not to use it.
No, let's not do it.
All right. So top 25 matchup. So let's go NC State at Virginia. Clemson at Wake Forest. Maybe Arizona at Utah. Maybe. It's at Utah. Those are the top 2 teams in the Pac-12. Let's keep a flyer on that one.
Nah.
So for all the podcast listeners, we're trying to pick like 50-50 matchups. So like not necessarily like Tennessee at Vanderbilt. Almost everybody would pick Tennessee there.
Yep. Nope. Keep going. Keep going.
Mississippi State at Arkansas. Like,
nah, I feel like too many people are going to take Arkansas.
Yeah.
Especially at home.
Kentucky at Florida.
Dave Van Horn will get them ready.
How do we feel about Kentucky at Florida?
No.
All right, let's go to all the games here. We'll find a couple that are high stakes. Iowa at Illinois, maybe.
I don't really want to do that.
Let's just keep it on. Let's keep it on the back burner.
Keep going. Hey Ben, do you see that private chat thing? Please click it.
I'm not on that. Oh, Dimitri has to pee, so we have to hurry up. All right, let's do Fairfield at Niagara. Fairfield at Niagara, both 16-2 in the MAC.
All right, Fairfield, Niagara, beautiful.
And so how many do we have right there?
We have 3.
All right. We can find 3 more. That's easy. Let's do
Northeastern
at Charleston. Yep. That's 4.
Texas UCF could be a good 50-50 toss-up, but I don't want to do that series.
Yeah, keep that on the back. Oh, how about Samford at UNCG? Let's do that. Battle for first place in the SoCon. So that's 5, right?
Yep.
All right, we need one more.
One more.
LSU at Alabama. I like that a lot.
All right.
I like
hold on.
LSU
We'll
at
keep going.
Alabama.
Keep going. Auburn, Missouri sounds more fun for me.
No, stop it. Oh, what about Indiana at Nebraska? No, I like LSU at Alabama.
Let's do Indiana, Nebraska. Why not? Why not Indiana, Nebraska?
Well, okay, that's fine. We'll do that one. But let me just make sure there's none other left. I don't think there will be.
I think we're good. That was easy. Beautiful.
Hold on, there might be a big one.
That's it. Done. We've got our 6.
All right, let's do it. So read it back, and then we'll end the show.
What?
Read it back real quick.
NC State at Virginia, Clemson at Wake Forest, Fairfield at Niagara, Northeastern at Charleston, Samford at UNC Greensboro, and Indiana at Nebraska.
Perfect. I'm gonna start my research
Beautiful. All right.
now. All right. Anyways, we got to go. Dimitri's got to pee. I got to pick up my son from daycare. So we appreciate everybody listening. We're gonna try to do a Club Omaha this week, and man, this is the best time of the year. So
get ready for the postseason. Almost here. Best time of the year.
Almost here. So y'all take care this week, and we'll be back either Wednesday or Thursday.